Hey y'all, welcome back to the internet. This is Avery, and today we are making our shape spin. So we're going to give them a third dimension and make them spin in Blender. But first, we need to start in Illustrator. So you have a shape. It's a lovely shape. You want to make sure that your shape, if I hit the direct selection tool A, is just has a fill, right? You want to make sure that that fill is in RGB, and it is 000, so it is RGB black, and you don't want a stroke. So if it has a stroke, you need to either get rid of the stroke or expand the stroke. So let me show you what I mean by expand. So I have the same shape here. So I actually made this shape with the pencil tool, and you can see it is a stroke with a 53 point stroke. So in order to expand it, in order to turn it into a shape with a fill, I go to Object, Expand, and you can see right here, fill and stroke are selected. I hit OK, and you can see magically the stroke is gone, and now it just has a fill of this 000, RGB 000, hexadecimal 00000. It is black. Okay, so that's the process for expanding a shape, and you need to do that. You'll need to do that for all of Project 1, but certainly for this portion of Project 1 where we need an SVG file to bring into Blender. And how do we get an SVG file into Blender? Let me show you. So select your shape, right-click it, export for selection. There it is right there. We can rename it here, Test Shape. I think 2, because I've done this before. I just want to make sure I get it right. This is the folder that I'll go to. It might automatically create a subfolder. You don't need a subfolder. SVG is what you want, and that's it. Export asset. And you can see if you're on a Windows, I bet a Mac would do a very similar thing. There's my test shape number 2. All right, let's go over to Blender. So you're going to use the template that I created called Spin Shape Template, and it will open up like this. And I've set it up with the appropriate camera, which is here in the setup folder in the outliner. And there's the camera, so you don't need to mess with this. I actually made it so you can't mess with these. I turned it off, essentially put it on the lock, Blender's version of the lock. And I'll click on it. So the camera is orthographic, so you won't have perspective. It'll maybe look a little funky at first, but this is what they use in architectural drawings, technical drawings, so that you can make a drawing sort of like show multiple sides of it, but not have sides recede into the distance of that two-dimensional space, which enables you to measure, the different places of the building on a technical drawing, because you can't do that accurately in a perspectival drawing. That makes sense. We'll go over it more later in class and in life. I'm sure you'll just experience it more. Okay, so we need to bring our shape in, but we kind of need to get oriented first. So when it opens up, when the template opens up, you'll be in this camera view mode. So that is the light gray square right here. This is essentially what we see through the camera, and the dark gray is everything else that's outside of the camera, but in the 3D viewport. So I'm gonna rotate my view. So I'm gonna move in my view camera around, not the camera that will make the render, but the camera that I am, my eye, as I navigate the three-dimensional space. So you can see I have a screencast here, so you see what I'm doing. If I hold down the middle scroll wheel and rotate, I immediately kind of leave that camera view right after I click it. And if I hold down and rotate, I can kind of pan around and explore the world. So there's the 3D cursor, and that's where we're going to bring in the shape. So there's the camera, and then just to kind of point out the other element, here's the sun, and it's pretty bright, but it's just to kind of put some light on the front of your shape. You'll see when I bring it in. So to import our SVG, File, Import, find it, Scalable Vector Graphic. So these are these graphics that are essentially text files. All the information about your graphic is contained within a text file, and that's what's incredible about vector images and using Illustrator and Figma and programs like that. So we'll bring it in, we'll find it. Here's the one we just saved, import it, just like that. But where is it? Well, you can see it in the outliner. It comes in as a collection with your name, but it's actually this curve that we're messing with. So here, come with me. You found me? You hear me? You hear me? You hear me? You see me? Click right there, and you can see it selected. We'll use this panel to kind of navigate this sucker right over here. So if you select Scale, you can hit S as the hotkey, but you can also click this. You can see this widget situation changes. Grab the white circle, which will scale everything proportionally. and scale it up, and you can start to see our shape. Boom, brilliant. I'll show you here. I'm going to hit in on the keyboard. So look over here, you'll see it, boom, in. And then we want to make sure the tab of in, so this is the in toolbar, is item. And you can see we scaled it 68 times its original. And we've scaled it proportionally, right? Everything, X, Y, and Z are all 68 times. We will mess with that in a second because we want it all to be set at 1, which is, it's good to have like your scale of your thing once you know what it is, to set it to 1, and it just makes it work better in the world. More has to do with when you're doing like physics and other simulations in Blender, but it's good for this too. So let's see what we see on our camera. So I can click right here, this camera icon, or if you have a keyboard with a number pad on the right-hand side, you can hit 0. But I'll just click right here, and I can't see it. So I need to rotate my shape. So I can show another way to navigate the space. You can just click in the switched area, zoom out, but I'm going to use my mouse. So we need to rotate it. So we can click here, the rotate tool. We want to rotate along the x-axis, so I'll grab this red X. And you can see, if you look in the transform menu to the right, I'm starting to get closer to 90, but I'm not quite there. And I could like I hit it. But like, let's say I miss, for example. But I really, in this, we want this to be 90. You just come over here, click in there, type in 90, boom, it's 90 degrees. And now let's see what a camera looks like. Awesome. Now we realize it's a little bit too big. So we scale it back down. Grab the white, boom. All right, so there it is. Now it's in position. You don't have to worry about centering it. We're going to rotate this thing, and it will rotate it along this point. And we'll rotate it along the Z. So you might actually want to kind of leave it here in this type of location. I'm going to click right here on the viewport shading rendered, so you can see what's going on. So it pulled up the material. The black from our SVG, but we want this to be a color, right? We want to have fun. So let's change the material. Come here, we'll get rid of this SVG material, and we'll add a new one. We won't really go over all the details of this. That'll be brought up in other tutorials, so let's just focus right here on the base color. I like that. You all can choose whatever you want. You can also mess with what are things. Metallic is fun to mess with. It might not have the greatest effect because there isn't too much to reflect off of it. We're dealing with a white area right here. And roughness essentially affects the amount of light that's reflected off of this. So if you are very, very rough, it will seem kind of very matte. Get rid of the roughness, it'll be much shinier. So you can see we're about half and half in between those right now, exactly, on that slider bar. And then maybe you want to change the background color. To do that, so we just changed the material in this beach ball. The background is this world that has kind of an axis like these poles coming out of it. So you can click on that. Right now the background color is white. RGB, you can see it's jacked up all the way to 1. And you can just move these around. So I'm going with this, God, I just like default to millennial pink. Boom, right there. So now we have this background, we have this shape. What's the last step? Well, there are 2. We need to extrude and rotate in an animation. So I'll come back to just this viewport. What's this one called? Material preview. And extrude. So we have our shape selected, the curve. Make sure it's selected. This is here we can do the selection box, right? It is selected. It's selected right here in the outliner. We click on this right here in the menu. It is called the Object Data Properties. It looks like a little, I don't know, smiley face on its side. And all we're going to do here is extrude. But before, remember what I'm blocking it a little bit. We want to do this extrude right here. But before, let's change the scale so it's set to 1. So with your shape selected, you have this curve selected. It is our shape. You're going to do Control A. And then we want to apply the scale. And you can see it turns it into 1. Yeah, do that. If just do it. So Control A, apply the scale 1. Cool. Now we extrude, and you guys can go wild with this, but I'm going to just do that much, right? Cool. Now I'm going to go to my camera view, and you can't tell now, which is the magic of this. but you will be able to tell when I rotate it. So my rotation, you'll see, it'll happen along this point, and it's going to kind of just be in the upper register of this composition area. Again, you can mess with this as you see fit, but this is like the general outline. So now we need to navigate to our timeline because we're going to add some keyframes, and then we're almost there. How is this 10 minutes already? Oh my God. Okay. So you have your shape selected so that we have a perfect circle. I'm going to try and remember to, so that our rotation is clean and doesn't like kind of have double frames. We're actually going to go not 1, but 0 right here. So if you type in 0 in our timeline, and then you hit I, which will insert a keyframe, and you have to be in the viewport display right here. I, rotation is the one you want selected. Then you can click right here to jump to the endpoint, and you are going to rotate the Z 360 degrees, and then you see that, so you type in right there, and you see it turns orange because it's like, oh, you changed something, you probably want to insert a keyframe. Indeed we do. I, rotation. Now let's see what happens. That's my rotating shape. And you can see in the render preview, this is what it would look like. So, cool. So now what am I going to do? Export. So we're at 12 minutes. You know, you all have stayed with me. Bravo. The export is pretty straightforward, but you have to set up some things first. So I did all the settings in terms of the resolution, and cycles is the engine we're using. But your output, which is right here, output properties, if you can see right here, we need to just essentially tell it where it needs to go. So go to where it says TMP, so it puts it in like a temporary file. You're going to click on that folder, and you're just going to determine where it's going to go. And you're going to probably want to make a folder for that. So, you know, this is what it looks like on Windows, but I'm sure you know how to do this on a Mac if you have that. So we're going to create a new folder. We're going to do spin shape. That's not the end of it. After you make the folder, double click to go into the folder, and then come down here and name it. So spin shape. And I recommend doing an underscore after that because this will be 0 to or 1 to 60 for your frames. So accept that. So now you can see right here, you know where your location is, where this is all going to be saved. And then you go to render, render animation. And it will start to render out your sweet, sweet, sweet animation. All right, it's done. It did it. It's done animating. It's done rendering. So here we are. We're at frame 60. We have them all. They're all in their file where they should be. We want to turn it into a GIF that we can post everywhere and share with our friends and family. So how do we do that? We use the internet. So at easygif.com, we go to this tab, which is GIF Maker, or the address, which I'll put in the description, is easygif.com /maker, and then you're going to find your folder. So hit, let me just do that one so you see it real quick. Right here, hit Browse. You'll navigate to find your files. You want to make sure that they're all selected and that they are all in order. So do whatever you need to do in your Finder to make sure that they come in order. Open. 60 files selected. We're going to upload and make a GIF. And then this will pop up, and you can see we have our 60 frame animation ready to go. Will be compiled into one file, which is a GIF file. It will default to these 20/100ths of a second. We want it to be 4/100ths of a second because 4/100 second is approximately 1/24th of a second, you know, more or less, give or take a few, 1 or 2 thousandths of a second. But that's what we're going to want to do. All of these other settings are good, and then we just click make a GIF. And we let the cat do its thing while we contemplate buying Smart Wool or whatever you got advertised. I'm excited. Ooh, Life is Good shirts. It's still going. There it is. Here it is. Here's our GIF. Here's mine. Yours will look something similar. It's 4.52 megabytes, which is pretty big for internet GIFs, but, you know, not that bad for 5G internet or whatever. FiOS. This is not advertised content. So when you're done with that, you just can click save. I mean, you could just click on the image and actually drag it down, and it's a GIF right there, or you can hit save. It will save as this totally funky file, so just make sure you rename it after you save it, and then upload it to Slack, share it with friends. It's yours, it's ours. Cool. Now you know how to make something spin in Blender and share it with the world.